Hi everyone, welcome to Storytime with Mr. Moss. So good to see you all again. So as you know, I have been a teacher and a theater teacher for a long time and collected so many wonderful stories, and I love sharing them with you. So today I want to share another one of my favorite stories. I hope you're ready. We're going to have a great time today. Let's go. Well, the story that I want to share with you today is about the three little pigs. Now, you may think you know that story already, but don't be so sure, because the book I have for you today is actually the true story of the three little pigs by a wolf, as told to Jon Scieszka and illustrated by Lane Smith. So I'm anxious to see what a wolf has to tell us about this well-known story. Are you ready? Let's get started. The true story of the three little pigs. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody's heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, but you can call me Al for short. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault if wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But, like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So, I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig. And he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar from my dear old granny's birthday cake, and that's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed. A great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Well, it seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He wasn't a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hair of my chinny chin chin." Well, I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed. A great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. And when the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know, food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So, I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, so I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what that rude little Parker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home, maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake, when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. Now, when the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. They made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar? The end. So that sounded very different from the story I always thought was the true story. I wonder if that wolf is really telling the truth, if that's really how it happened. What do you think? Yeah, you know, it's funny. A story sometimes can change depending on who's telling it, right? Like, maybe when you or your brother or sister or friend get in trouble for something that broke, when you tell your mom or your dad or a grown-up about it, I bet you tell the story a little bit differently. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes I think it's fun to imagine what some of our favorite stories would be like if somebody else was telling them. Like another story that has a big bad wolf is Red Riding Hood, right? What if the wolf was telling the story? What do you think he might say? Maybe something different? Yeah, that would be a fun thing to do. Maybe think of one of your favorite fairy tales or stories and think about how you could change it and tell it in a different way if one of the other characters was maybe the good guy instead. Yeah, good idea. So think about that. And maybe you could write and illustrate your own new version of a favorite story. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I had a wonderful time sharing it with you. Definitely one of my favorite stories. Well, our time is up today. So for now, this is Mr. Moss saying bye-bye. And please come back and join us again next time for another fun story. And always remember to stay creative. Bye-bye.